Kyoto is banning all tourists from entering.
If you haven't heard the news in
Geisha
Kyoto's
district,
neighborhood of
The
Gion,
Council of Kyoto has announced a ban on tourists entering private alleyways in its Geisha district. This comes after local...
I've been coming to Japan on holidays for about 10 years now. And over those years, I've definitely noticed an increase in foreign tourists around the country. And I mean, I totally understand this is such an amazing country with so much to offer. It feels like new places to discover are blowing up on social media left, right and centre. I say new as in newly discovered by foreign tourists. I first became interested in Japan and Japanese things way back in my early teens, before it was cool or trendy to be into all that stuff. Trendsetter right here. But in all seriousness, I'm really glad that it's finally getting the global recognition I believe it deserves for, you know, its amazing food, beautiful people, amazing culture, and just stunning nature. For the longest time, I wanted to come and live in Japan and, in my own small way, introduce Japan through my eyes. So I want to use this channel as a way to celebrate Japan and share my journey as I'm experiencing it, because I feel like there's still so much to discover. But recently, as I've been exploring these new places and filming them, I've been thinking a lot about this whole concept of gatekeeping. Areas like Gion and Sanenzaka in Kyoto have become so popular and crowded. It's become kind of difficult to enjoy yourself when you go, and it's led to issues such as littering, destruction of sacred sites, locals unable to board public transport to get to and from work, and inevitably it's led to some retaliation. I mean, it could be a fair argument to say that some of this is just growing pains from an influx of tourism that could be solved with, you know, a bit of infrastructure and other such measures. 2019 recorded the highest number of inbound tourists in Japan at just under 32 million. Numbers in 2023 and now in 2024 are starting to creep up back to those levels now that the country has reopened its doors to tourism, but these numbers are still nothing in comparison to the 91 million that France had in 2019. The Japanese government has actually stated that they aim to increase inbound tourism to 60 million by 2030, in which case these growing pains are going to need to be addressed. But nevertheless, it is undoubtable to say that the local people of areas that suddenly began trending online and overflow with tourists have their daily lives impacted. Take the small seaside town of Kamakura, for example. Apparently there's a scene from a famous anime called Slam Dunk that features this seaside railway crossing in Kamakura. And once this was discovered, tourists have flooded to the spot to try and capture the iconic shot, often while causing disturbances and obstructing traffic.
車で通るときは人を引きそうになってしまったりとかしますし、とても騒がしくて困ってます。
I can see how you wouldn't want that in your backyard. And this is probably what led to this Kyoto tourist ban we're seeing now.
A city can have tourists, but the tourists shouldn't have the city. I'm going to say that again. A city can have tourists, but the tourists shouldn't have the city.
So it seems like there's a lot of confusion about which areas of Kyoto are actually being banned from tourists. And I've got a map here. So basically, it's, oh, sorry, not that one. This is the map of Gion, and it's well known as the Geisha district of Kyoto. This area is actually full of exclusive establishments that the public, even Japanese public, cannot enter without invitation. Apart from the main roads, the side streets where these exclusive establishments are actually privately owned. As a courtesy, they were open to the public for tourists to be able to enjoy the traditional style laneways. They just requested that no photography was taken there. But unfortunately, this kindness was being taken advantage of, so now access to these streets is completely restricted to the general public. However, please note it's not the whole area of Gion. The main road is still open.
I don't think Japanese people dislike tourists or anything of that nature. I actually think it might be the opposite. Over the past few months of living here, I've seen so many Japanese TV shows about foreigners enjoying different aspects of Japanese culture, and the Japanese TV celebrities reacting really positively to this celebration of their country. But I've also seen a lot of commentary about over-tourism and its impacts, especially in Kyoto. I'm not Japanese, obviously, so it's not really my place to comment on the Japanese experience, but the Japan Reporter made a great video about how this influx in tourism is impacting Japan. So if anyone's interested, I'll link it in the description below, as well as some other videos that I found useful. But basically, what they were saying is, where possible, to try and visit non-touristy places and support local establishments such as family-run ramen restaurants, hole-in-the-wall izakayas, or staying at local accommodation. I have heard that the Japanese government is making efforts to encourage tourists into places outside of the major hotspots of Tokyo, Kyoto and Osaka. But many of these places don't market themselves in English and other non-Japanese languages or offer English menus. Perhaps because they don't feel comfortable providing customer service in English or don't want the pressure of the expectation that they can offer services in English, which I feel like is fair enough. It's a challenging situation. I'd like to continue to use this channel as a way to share and celebrate everything amazing about this country. But in order to do that in the best way possible, I'd like to know, what do you think ethical or sustainable tourism looks like in Japan? I'm not talking about stuff like making sure to take a bag so that you don't use single-use plastic, but more about how do we ensure that local sites and attractions are preserved so that we can all enjoy them, Japanese and non-Japanese alike. Do you think tourists should be encouraged to visit less discovered areas of Japan? Or do you think some things should be gatekept? And if so, where do you draw the line? Do you think Japan should follow in Singapore's footsteps and try to portray this image of strict rules and often fining tourists to try and deter bad behaviour? I don't have any answers to any of these, but I'd love to hear your thoughts and insights down in the comments below. If you're Japanese, what is it that you would like people coming to visit Japan to know? If you're somebody that's planning on coming to visit Japan, would you be interested in visiting less explored places outside of the big Kyoto and Tokyo? And if so, what kind of things would stop you, like access to public transport, a lack of English? It would be really great to use this comment section to kind of have a opportunity for both sides to provide insights and guidance to each other. As I'm sure there's many people like me that when they come to Japan or they want to come to Japan, they're nervous about making mistakes because they want to be as respectful as possible. But sometimes it's hard to know all the rules and it's hard to ask. So yeah, please let me know your thoughts and insights in the comments down below, but please do be respectful. I want it to be a space where we can ask questions and share information without fear of judgment. So I will be a bit harsher in terms of moderation, just to make sure we can ensure that there's a safe space for, a nice discussion and information exchange. Also, if there's anyone watching that is of European, specifically Slavic or Eastern European descent that has been living in Japan, please tell me what shampoo do you use, because this is what my hair looks like right now and I don't know how to fix it. The products seem to be too heavy and oily for my hair and it is driving me bonkers. Please send help. Anyway, see you in the next video. Bye! Family run ramen restaurants. Family run ramen restaurants. Family run ramen restaurants. As